If you're feeling lost right now in your 20s, I'm just going to give you my thoughts on my personal experiences being almost 29. So I'm basically at 30 at this point, and I've been reflecting a lot on my experiences, especially in my early to mid 20s. Look, I think right now there is a narrative that is alive and well, especially pushed towards young people. For your career path, you should do what you love. I don't think that there is a wrong or right answer. I think it's more so a means of striking a balance between the two. Don't be afraid to experiment, but also don't necessarily tie yourself to the idea that you should totally do what you love. What I found in my early 20s is that it's really important to do what's practical for your career. But I have many other friends, for instance, who work in entertainment, and they love entertainment, they love movies, music, TV, etc., and they are doing what they love, and they love what they do. But I know for me, early on, when I was working in the music industry, which, by the way, I'm a musician, and I love music, it's like my first passion, I ended up pretty much being miserable. I don't judge myself for that, but that's just how it happened, and it's different for everybody. So I think when you're early on in your career, and you're likely in your early 20s, maybe you just graduated from college, it's important to experiment on both sides of the spectrum and everywhere in between to figure out really what you don't like and what you gravitate towards as a result. So I think it's really important to just cast a wide net, just experiment. If you're really into movies, go and work in the movie industry in Hollywood for a year, or in your hometown, or wherever is closest that has some sort of potential for you to learn about making movies, or intern for somebody online. Just see if you like it. See if you could pursue your passion. See if it feels impractical. See if you hate it. See if after a year you want to pivot and just do something else. It's okay to do that. Many of us do. Really, the goal is to just get that experience the first few years of your career to, again, kind of just figure out what it is that you don't like. Because you're getting to know yourself. This is probably the first experience, or one of the first experiences in your life where you're like kind of on your own, right? So just go do a bunch of stuff. Go throw a bunch of shit on the wall and see what sticks. That said, it's important to also have, I would say, like a general direction. So we don't want to be wandering around aimlessly if we don't need to be. For instance, when I was 22, 23 years old, I was living in Los Angeles and I was working in the music industry. And after a year and a half, 2 years, I realized that this is probably not something that I really wanted, and it wasn't the best fit for me. So I knew in the back of my head that it'd be nice to kind of have like a general idea of where I wanted to go next in my career, but I wasn't 100% sure specifically, and that's okay. Honestly, I read 4 Hour Work Week and went through the Dreamline exercise, and I was like, yo, this is for me. I want to have flexibility in my career. I want to have autonomy, be able to travel, work remotely, and just have fun and feel like I'm free to do what I want, but also work hard and get fulfillment out of my job. So I ended up switching into tech, and the rest has been history. That said, what I struggled with early on in my pivot from music to tech was being humble. I expected that from the jump that I'd be able to make a ton of money and have the flexibility that I wanted, but in reality, what my experience looked like was that I had to kind of cut my teeth and be in an office 9 to 5 and go through the ranks and get the experience in order for me to eventually get that job that I always wanted. So you kind of have to put the work in, especially when you're lacking experience, which is natural because when you're young, you're gaining the experience that you need to get the job that you want. So it's important that we move away from this expectant mindset and be humble. I see this particularly with my generation and the generations that are a little bit younger. We have to be humble and just take every opportunity as it comes and get as much experience as we can without being totally expectant. One thing that I got tripped up on a couple times early on in my career was trying to accomplish everything at once. In other words, Rome wasn't built in a day. I remember I was interning in the music industry out in LA the first summer that I got out there, and the first day I walked in and the person who I was interning for hadn't yet arrived at the office. So I began walking around to the other employees' offices asking them for work because I just wanted to get started. I just wanted to start building, contributing. And although I acknowledge my ambition, being young and green and being 22 at the time, I think that there's really something to be said for just having the patience and taking a step back, knowing that you will eventually get the experience, but it takes time. It takes time to get to know the world, to get to know yourself, to learn a trade, to learn a skill, to pursue into a passion. So don't rush the process. One thing that I regret not doing earlier on, I should have tried to make money in different ways and be a little bit more resourceful outside of my 9-to-5 job in the music industry. Because frankly, I was piss poor and it really wasn't the best working environment. Granted, I was learning a lot, but I think that extra money would have really helped me and made me feel happier at the time. Like I think about it, I'm like, okay, I could have done Fiverr online or Upwork or just something for 5 to 10 hours a week just to help pay rent or to help with my going out habits, admittedly. So what I'm trying to say is that if you're feeling like you're in a bit of a financial pinch, you're early on in your career with a job that kind of isn't paying you enough, you're not stuck. There's other ways to make money. I'm not saying that it's going to be easy because you might have to put in an extra few hours a week of work to get that extra money, but you're certainly not stuck. And honestly, through other avenues of making money, you can learn new skills, right? And grow those skills. And it can eventually just lead you into a total career pivot if that's the direction that you're looking to head down. My personal take is learn a skill, learn a practical skill, because if and when you pursue your passion, you find out that all that glitters isn't gold, you can rely and kind of fall back on this skill. And you can take that practical skill and apply it and make yourself some money and then always pursue your passion on the side. That's what I learned, because right now I work in tech and I do music on the side and couldn't be happier. And pivoting does not at all mean that you're giving up. It just means that you're making a practical decision to better yourself. Maybe you want to better your financial situation, better your financial literacy. Maybe you want to do something that's more fulfilling, more creative, provides you with more flexibility, autonomy, more freedom. These are all things that will make you more excited and more happy and hopefully more inspired to live out a better life and to pursue your livelihood. So for me at 24, like I said, I pivoted into tech and I learned how to code. Now I'm seeing at almost 29 years old the effects of that, the positive effects. I like my work. It builds my confidence because it's a technical skill that can translate to other areas of my life. I've been able to pay off my student loans. I'm able to travel, have flexibility. And I'm not saying this to show off. I'm saying that the decisions that I made at 23, 24, I'm now seeing the compound effects that those decisions have brought me. And I'm very glad that I made those decisions for myself. Looking back, I'm happy that I was thinking practically. That said, it wasn't easy. I had to give up a lot of time and energy and grinded every single day for like over a year to learn how to code and jumped around jobs and had a lot of challenging experiences to get to where I am today, but it was worth it. And again, it built my confidence. And that confidence emanates to so many other parts of my life that also generate me more income as a result. So if I hadn't started coding, I wouldn't have ever started my YouTube channel where I talk about my coding journey. So the sacrifices that you make today benefit what you do tomorrow, and they benefit what you do in a year, 2 years, 4 years, 5 years, 10 years. The power of compound growth is crazy. And if you just continue to put the time and energy into learning something or pursuing a passion year over year, you'll see so much of that energy comes back to you, the fruits of your labor. There's this popular internet writer, Jason Levin. He has this blog called Cyber Patterns. And in one of his most popular blog articles, he talks about the power of compound growth and how he lost on the internet for 10 years, but so much happened within those 10 years that brought him to where he is today. I'll link the blog in the description below. I think that is so worth a read. And hey, maybe I'll interview him one day on this channel. Who knows? And the thing that I'm most proud of about my journey the last 9-10 years isn't so much the accomplishments. It's more so what I had to overcome to get to those accomplishments. I look back and think about the challenges that I was presented with and how I overcame them and how I was courageous, which eventually built my confidence. Another thing that I wanted to talk about is analysis paralysis. If you're having trouble deciding what it is that you want to do, you have to just choose something, 2 things, and just focus your energy on those 1 or 2 things and do it for a year, 2 years. You have to commit to something for a reasonable amount of time and just see where it takes you. So my career originally brought me out to Los Angeles, i.e. the music industry. And then eventually I realized that I had a passion for being creative and I wanted to build things on a day-to-day basis. So I kind of followed that curiosity when I felt like it was time to pivot, and I ended up teaching myself how to code, how to make websites, how to architect and engineer solutions, which that ended up kind of leading me to New York City, which is a tech hub. I wouldn't have gotten to New York City be and hadn't been working in tech if I hadn't obviously started somewhere. You've no idea where you're going to be in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. But in order to get at least somewhat of an idea, you have to just pick something. Sometimes the most complex questions have the simplest solutions. Just pick something and go with it and learn. There's really no secret formula for starting. Like, you can use different resources, maybe go watch some David Goggins, that could help, but you just have to start. I talk about this a lot on my channel, and I probably sound like a broken record, but whatever. So get some experience through experimentation, cast a wide net, and just go out there and experiment, see what you like, see what you don't like. You gotta just pick something. Obviously, don't rush the process, see it through, give yourself a reasonable amount of time to experiment and figure out if this is something that you like, this isn't. Again, often it is learning what you don't like rather than what you do like, and the things that you do like, lean into them. And when you have an intuition, a feeling about something, lean into that intuition and start to trust yourself, because that trust grows stronger and stronger as you continue to do that. So if you really like creating stuff and you pivot into a creative field or something similar, just keep leaning into that and see where it takes you. And lastly, I'll leave you with this: do not be hard on yourself. I am way too hard on myself, and I was probably 10 times harder on myself when I was 23 years old. You're gaining experience, and that is the most important thing, and you have to be able to learn from your mistakes. Anyways, I'm gonna wrap it up here. I appreciate the time. If you enjoyed this video, obviously go ahead and give it a like so we can get it out to more people and maybe help and inspire more people. If you really enjoy the content, obviously go ahead and subscribe, and go ahead and watch another video. I make a lot of videos that look like this, that concern career development, life advice, and so much more. Thanks and take care. Okay, done.